Welcome to the Taproot Root Cause Analysis podcast. I'm Emily Pritt, and I'm here with Barb Carr and Mark Paradies. We're going to talk about something you may not be aware of that you're doing in your investigations. Barb, take it away.
Hello. Today we want to ask our podcast listeners, how good do you think you are at incident investigations? And while you're thinking about that, I want to preface that question with a little bit of information. And that's that research has shown us we often think we're a lot better at things than we really are. And this is in part because of the Dunning-Kruger Effect. And this was developed by two psychologists, Dunning and Kruger. They did a lot of research and they found some interesting results, like the bottom 10% of workers across many industries, like from engineers to doctors, thought that they were in the top 40% of their profession. And why is that? Partly it's because we don't know what we don't know. And Dunning-Kruger Effect is a cognitive bias. And Emily knows a lot about biases. Can you give us just like a general brief description of what a bias is?
Yeah. So cognitively in our brains, we come up with things that will cause us to think in ways that aren't actually accurate. And so there's several cognitive biases. One of those is confirmation bias. We hear that one a lot, and that's when you're only listening to information that you agree with. And then we've also got overconfidence bias. So a lot of the things, especially with overconfidence, ties into what we're going to talk about with Dunning-Kruger. Like you said, we don't know what we don't know. And with overconfidence, we can actually make incorrect decisions because when we're trying to make decisions quickly, we pull from information that we already have. So there are countless biases that are out there, and it's something that whether you're a engineer or a doctor or any skill or trade, we all have them. Nobody is off limits for these cognitive biases or overconfidence, any of that kind of stuff.
That's great information. Taking it back to Dunning-Kruger, a really simple example of that is, say, for example, you learn how to drive. And you had a little bit of practice driving, you took some assessments, you aced all of the assessments, you thought you were doing really good, so you jump in behind the wheel. And you might be overconfident about your skills in driving. You don't know all of the things about putting a car on the road because you don't have a lot of experience with that. So you could take a lot of risks that someone who's more experienced wouldn't take. You can be so overconfident in your own ability. We're just really bad at self-assessment. Mm-hmm. So that's where a lot of times expert guidance and coaching can really be helpful in mitigating a cognitive bias.
I remember this comedian who said, imagine how dumb the average person is. 50% are dumber than that.
Wow.
And they think they aren't.
When you're talking about driving, immediately I'm thinking of like a new driver. I have a 17-year-old. He thinks he knows everything. Yes. So that makes sense. But there's also people who, when we use that driving example, who've been driving for years. They're not a new driver, and they still think that they know it all.
You can't possibly know everything there is to know. So that brings me to my next question is what we don't know, putting people at risk, putting workers at our workplace at risk. Because we see a lot of people, and we put this into perspective from an investigation, back to my first question, how good do you think you are at investigations? A lot of people are still using techniques like 5 whys or fishbones. So the issue there is with a system like 5 whys, it's not going to take you beyond what you already know. So you're asking questions, but you're kind of stuck in the level of knowledge that you have. You don't know what you don't know. The same thing with fishbone. You have these categories that you're working within, but again, you can only operate with your own knowledge about those categories. There's nothing to guide you or to help you see what you don't know.
You're within your own limitations.
Yeah.
And going back to Emily's point about drivers, this is the same thing for 5 whys. Being a bad driver for 30 years doesn't make you a good driver.
Yeah.
Using a bad technique a lot of times or a lot of years doesn't make that technique better.
So, Mark, I'd like to ask you, how do you get out of that trap as an investigator and using techniques like 5 Whys or Fishbone?
Well, first off, I think for any skill, practice is very important. Learning and taking classes and getting better and getting feedback from people who are legitimate experts helps. But if you have a system that helps you by having built-in expert knowledge in it, and if you use that system, you can then take advantage of some of that knowledge that you don't have and be guided to answers you probably wouldn't have found otherwise. And that's sort of what Taproot's all about. You know, we built the root cause tree. Let's see. And you can't see it, but we'll put a copy of it up on the screen, or at least the top of it here. And it guides you through all these questions on the front side. We've got the human performance troubleshooting guide. On the back side, we've got the 7 categories of different kinds of human performance. You can think of them as human performance traps that you can get caught by, or you can think about them as things you can improve to improve human performance, and that guides you to all these things. And these are not just one person's opinion. We spent years developing this with a really expert group of people helping to develop it. We had a ton of peer reviews done by experts. We had a lot of field testing done with people from operators out in the field to engineers to experts. And we have had over 30 years now of feedback from students, from users, thousands of people who've provided feedback to make the system better and to help people make it easier to learn, make it easier to use, and in that ease of use, you still get that expert knowledge so that you don't have to have studied everything and know everything. So the first part I said was the education part, but you're never going to know everything. You're never going to have all the things in your head, and even if you do, you'll develop biases so that you don't consider everything when you go out to do investigations. And that's what the tree's for, and that's what the questions in the dictionary are for, is to help you learn by asking the right questions and getting that information from people so that you find causes that you wouldn't find otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that's key, what you just said, of getting information, because I know when I'm out talking to people about Taproot who are not trained, a lot of them are familiar with the root cause tree, and then their argument against it is that, well, you're just using this as a pick list, not understanding that the root cause tree is a tool in a guided system. Well, it's just one tool.
If they're using it as a pick list, they're using it wrong.
Right.
That's like driving for 30 years the wrong way. Yeah, you don't do it the right
and they're
way.
not recognizing, because they're not trained, that that's not actually the first step in the process is not to take out the root cause tree and start looking for root causes. The first step in the process is to gather information, and not even to even have a hypothesis, but to just gather all the information that you can gather. That's the one of the main things of a Taproot investigation, is basing it on facts and information that is collected, and then using the root cause tree and other tools in the guided system.
So your snap chart helps you gather that information, and you don't gather it with, I know what's going to happen. You do know what happened at the end. You do know what the accident was, the incident was, the quality problem was, but you don't know what caused it or what led to it, the sequence of events. You don't know what happened, and you got to understand that what happened before you can understand why it happened. Yes. And that is part of the system.
Yeah, I think that is helpful in mitigating some of the biases that
because those assumptions that are within those biases are going to cause that, and so that step-by-step process is what eliminates that.
Yes,
sounds so simple, but it really is.
It really is.
Well, it's what's so hard to accept for some people, because the more of an expert you are, that you think you are, the harder it is to think there's something extra you need to learn, and that you need a systematic process to guide you, because sort of the Dunning-Kruger thing, you think you know more than you know. You're an expert. I've been doing this for a long time, and therefore you think, I don't need anybody to guide me, I don't need any guidance. And sometimes it's easier to take people who don't know anything. I don't want to say don't know anything, but they don't have any experience doing accident or incident investigations, and teach them how to do it, because they don't have this, I'll call it an experience bias, that I know how to do it, I don't need you guys telling me how to do it.
It's like there's a saying that about teaching an old dog new tricks. But when somebody's coming into industry, it's a lot easier to show them and teach them the right way. This is how we do it, than try to have somebody unlearn the way that they've been doing it for so long, and then they're stuck in their, well, that's how we did it over there. It's the worst thing possible.
It is possible to teach them. I don't want to say that it isn't.
No.
And somebody who is an expert can benefit from this. And if they'll have an open mind and try it, a lot of times they'll go, wow, why didn't I try it? Why didn't I do this before? I remember one guy, he'd had like 40 years of industry experience, and he was very experienced, and he came to a class. And he came there because his company was adopting this, and everybody had to be trained. And at the start, he was in a 5-day course, and at the start of the 5-day course, he didn't understand why he was there. He was sort of like, I already know how to do all this stuff. I don't know why I'm here. He hadn't been trained at Taproot, but he already knew how to do all this stuff. And at the end of the course, he was like, wow, this has been a real eye-opener for me. I really could have used this my whole career, and I wanted to thank you for opening my eyes to what I could use and how it could help me.
He
And
didn't
that's
know what he
smart.
didn't know.
Right.
You don't know what
But
you
he
don't
did
know.
learn.
He
Even
did
though
learn.
he didn't know, he did
Okay.
learn.
And there's nothing wrong with being an expert or SME at anything, but we learn every day, and so kind of taking that approach and then seeking out knowledge, but also you have to know, if I'm going to take a course, I want to make sure that it's vetted, that the information's there. Like, so you explain that whole process. There's a lot of options out there to take a course, but I want to take something that I know is going to help me and improve what I'm trying to seek out, not just check a box to take a course for continuous, improvement and development purposes.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
And if you're really learning, you'll realize that even though I've been doing this for a lot of years, I still have things to learn. There's still things out there you can get. And there's still research done, and there's still people out there who can teach you something.
Absolutely. I thought it was interesting when I was researching the Dunning-Kruger Effect that it could, conversely, some people who are really good at something, say you have an investigator who has a lot of training and a lot of years of experience, just doesn't understand how good he really is or she at investigating. And so we really have to keep that in mind too, especially when we're working on investigation teams. When we have new people come on, we need to make sure that they're equipped too with the right training and the right amount of getting out there in the field and doing the work and getting more experience, and not just assume that everybody knows that everything that we know too. So it can work the other way too.
yeah.
This brings up, I was teaching a course for a big bearing manufacturer, and they sent their experts in bearing troubleshooting to the course. And we were teaching the Equifactor part of Taproot, which is an equipment troubleshooting table. And I was teaching an example that was a bearing failure. And I know a lot about mechanical stuff, but I'm not the world's expert in bearing failures. And I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be terrible. This is not going to work. And we did the example, and they went through the Equifactor system, and they troubleshoot the problems. And I had one of the smartest guys in the room come up to me afterwards, and he said, wow, this is great. This puts like everything I know in one place in a systematic process. And if I just go through this process, I'm sure I'm going to I'm not going to forget anything. I'm not going to overlook something. I have a good checklist, in that case it was Equifactor, of things to look at as to why this bearing failed. And I was really, I don't want to say shocked, but it was like, wow, this is really good stuff. Even the bearing expert guy says he's going to use this because he likes the fact that it's a systematic process that helps you not overlook things. And he had all that knowledge, but this put it all in one place, and he could use it to find the answers systematically.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the cognitive load off of you just to have a guided process. And it's not that you're not thinking, you're still thinking a lot about it, but it's helping to guide you, and you're not out there all by yourself trying to figure out if you're making the right decisions or not.
Sure.
Very important. So I think what we've learned and what we've discussed is we're all very vulnerable to the Dunning-Kruger event. Just like Emily said, any bias, we all have biases. It's part of the human experience. We can't get rid of them, but we can mitigate them. We got to be careful that we're not trying to catch our own errors, but get the training we need, get the guidance we need, the coaching we need, do audits, do assessments. And I think what we've learned from today's podcast is there's always room for improvement.
Always is.
Definitely.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks.